Insulin is the driver. It is the Mac Daddy. It is the captain of the ship. And if you have high insulin levels, you are going to always be hungry. That's all there is to it. And if you have high insulin, you'll never tap into your own body fat to start burning that. It's not going to have it. Just like you said earlier, it's an anabolic hormone. Its job is to store energy, but at the same time prevent energy breakdown. It will not allow you to pull out and utilize your own fat for energy. So we've got to get insulin controlled.
There is this structured pattern of eating that actually, like, okay, like somebody's eating at set intervals of times. That is a stimulus for the ghrelin. Just
That's
before the time to eat, the ghrelin is going to get secreted. But then, when we have this haywire eating, that signal is lost. And so that's where, our appetite regulating hormones start to get affected. And bang on, like, we really need to work on the fiber and, the other aspects of the diet and the high protein diet so that the satiety is improved, like you mentioned. And we really may not need, um, in general, to be dependent on a lot of medications. And if especially if we act early on. And there have been a lot of stories now that metabolic reversal has started to happen, and you have a lot of experience with
oh
that
yeah,
too. Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, so let's talk a lot more about metabolic health and reversing the aging process. And I'm sure people uh, read a lot about David Sinclair, Professor David
Yeah.
Sinclair. Now, now that there's he himself tried it on him, and he looks amazing too. So, and he's published a lot of research on this. What's your take on all the research out there and how metabolic health plays a big role in the aging process?
Right. I mean, we have what we call ages, the advanced glycated end products that truly age us, right? Um, when you live in metabolic dysfunction and you have high insulin levels and you have high glucose going on, which you may not have diagnosed, but it's still going on. It is aging our body from the inside out. It is caramelizing. Like when you have a flan or a browned meat, that's what's going on the inside of our body. And it shows when we're eating highly inflammatory foods, it comes out in our skin. I mean, I have patients all the time that, you know, no one's ever told them they have diabetes, and maybe they don't have diabetes, but they have severe acne, they have eczema, they have psoriasis, they are losing their hair, and it's all because of metabolic chaos, right? It's not something they're lacking, it's too much of. And so that goes into probably when we don't sleep right, right? Then that ages us. When cortisol is high, that ages us. So it's incredible. I mean, I wish we had time. I could show you all these pictures of my clients, but they look 10, 20 years younger by reversing their insulin resistance. I mean, we're going to, who needs to spend all that money on the skincare regimens and the Botoxes and the lasers if you just eat real food? I mean, really, like it's go back to real food. And I think even the sun, we need the sun. We shouldn't be afraid of the sun, you know? Getting that morning sunlight and that evening sunlight, the circadian rhythms sets our clocks right back to the ghrelin. But if if you want to reverse your aging process and turn back the clock, you got to get rid of all the processed, ultra processed foods and sugar. You've got to do that. You've got to get rid of the inflammatory seed oils. And you've got to stop eating every 2 to 3 hours. If you can change your diet to one that is predominantly high in protein and healthy fats, avoid of seed oils, focus on good high fiber fruits and vegetables, and reduce or shorten your eating window and get good sleep. I think that that's the best anti-aging medicine that you can have.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I like the fact that, like if we had time, you would share pictures of how people look 15 to, yeah, and that's like real life examples of a lot of people who have done that. And then they suddenly they have a shift in, the youthfulness of their
Yeah.
skin. So, and then let's go back and talk about the ultra processed food and talk about gut microbiome because that's the in thing and that's something that we really need to focus on these days. Like we really need to understand how this gut microbiome is impacting our health. And yes, yes,
It's huge. I mean, the gut is our second brain, right? That's where our neurotransmitters, our dopamine, our serotonin are made in our gut. And I think people think that they can just take a probiotic and make it all better, you know? And I think Dr. Lustig, I think this was his analogy. Or he had a similar analogy and I turned it into I grew up on a farm. So I like to think of cows. And so when someone asks me should they take a probiotic, I always say, okay, so you have a pen of cows. If you stop feeding the cows, they're gonna die. Now you can keep adding cows to the pen, but that's not fixing the problem. But if you just feed the cows good food, why do you need to keep buying cows and adding the cows in? So that's the same way as I talk about a prebiotic and a probiotic. I'm like, if you've taken an antibiotic or you're starting from scratch with a nasty gut microbiome, I highly recommend a good quality probiotic. And Akkermansia is a new one that's on that's becoming um, more studied and is showing that it is really targeting insulin resistance. So it's a really good, promising one that we're seeing. But you populate your gut with the good bugs, but then you got to feed the good bugs. And if you feed them properly, then you're gonna have great mental health and metabolic health. Right? It's our body. We don't need fiber, but our bugs need fiber. Right? And so if we've got a gut full of unhealthy bugs and we eat fiber, yeah, you're going to have gas and bloating because you've got a gut full of bugs that want sugar, not fiber. So it's truly eliminating the junk food. Those fat bugs will die. The ones that feed on all the sugar and the fermentation and the yeast, you want those out. I mean, that's real. People do these cleanses. The true cleanse is just cleaning out your food. And then if you keep, you know, a good source of healthy fats, so those short chain fatty acids, fish and proteins and, fruits and vegetables, I don't think that I think that you're gonna have a very healthy gut. It's just it's indoctrined with, chemicals and toxins and poisons and, you know, our GI tract is expands more, I guess our skin's the only bigger thing in our body than our GI tract. And so the surface area of that is huge. If we're constantly putting poison into it, like what do we expect?
right. And so, yeah, the bad bacteria feed on the sugar and the ultra processed foods.
Yep.
So, yeah, so the more the fermented foods are, the more the probiotics are, the more fiber we have, the more prebiotics we have, and they help with
Yep.
probiotic. And so, yes, we've got fixing of the gut as well, and the healing process starts. And yeah, so how does it actually impact our mood?
Well, I mean, this isn't scientific, but this is just it just observational. Um, if you got a bloating and gas and distension and or you're constipated and diarrhea, number one, you're not going to be in a good mood. Like, but nobody is, right? If you feel crappy, but um, when like I mentioned, our serotonin and our dopamine and our feel good hormones are made in our gut. When our gut's unhealthy, though, that exacerbates anxiety. And so our mood can be directly related to our gut health. And what's directly related to our gut health is the food that we put in our body. So everything keeps constantly going back, I know, to the food. But if you're eating well and you're mitigating stress as best as possible, you're getting sleep, you're avoiding environmental toxins, then your mood is going to be better. You can focus better. If you're jacked up on sugar, you can't focus. If you're on caffeine because you have no energy, you can't focus. And it's just a perpetual it drops, you have to do more. It drops, you have to do more. So it's a mood roller coaster just as much as it's a blood sugar roller coaster.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely, Shannon. That's very insightful.
Well, I hope you have a great weekend and thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. You too. Bye bye. Bye.